administration working overtime to keep gas prices from skyrocketing with a new plan to try to stop Saudi Arabia and other Middle Eastern countries from cutting oil production. CNN's Alex Marquardt and Matt Egan join us. Alex, you're reporting that White House officials are, quote, taking the gloves off. Oh, that's my least favorite metaphor from White Houses. But anyway, according to one U.S. official, to stop this from happening. So tell us what you're hearing, what they're planning.
Well, that same U.S. official said that the White House, in fact, is panicking, that this is something that they desperately do not want to happen. Cutting oil production means higher oil prices, means higher gas prices. That, of course, is something that the Biden administration does not want to happen right now. So tomorrow, there's this meeting of the oil-producing countries, this cartel known as OPEC, is ostensibly led by Saudi Arabia. Russia is also a member. The United States is not a member. And what we have learned, myself and our colleagues Natasha Bertrand and Phil Mattingly, is that there is this furious, last-ditch, wide-scale effort to lobby the OPEC plus oil-producing countries to not cut oil production. That senior members of the Biden administration are reaching out to members of the cartel, including Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates. The cartel could cut as much as 1 million barrels a day in production. That would be the biggest cut since the beginning of the pandemic. Now, this effort is being led by the top Biden administration official for energy, Amos Hochstein. They've also enlisted the top White House official for the Middle East, Brett McGurk. But interestingly, they've also, just to show you how widespread this is, reached out to the Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, asking her to reach out to counterparts around the world. And we actually got talking points that the White House sent to Treasury that have very blunt language suggesting that Yellen say some of this to her counterparts. They say that this would be a total disaster, would be seen as a hostile act against the United States. This is very blunt language. The White House says that these were draft talking points and not used, but it does give insight into how nervous they are, Jake.
Y'all know what that means, right? Y'all know what that means, right? Y'all gonna find out what it means next trip to the gas station, goddammit.
Your Royal Highness, I want to kick off by asking you specifically a question that I asked to Vladimir Putin a year ago. Are you using energy as a weapon? It was a question that he denied, but there are people in Washington and in the White House who right now are looking at the cuts that OPEC Plus is making, and they are saying that this is an aggressive move by OPEC. And they're very, very curious to understand why this organization that they call a cartel is moving against the United States and Europe. And Mr. Secretary General, to follow on to that, when I spoke to you just a couple of months ago, you said you had an open door policy to European policymakers. Have they entered that door? Are you having those conversations with them? Because I have to tell you, there is a huge narrative coming from the West right now that OPEC, as you say, a band of brothers, but as they would say, a cartel, is attempting to hold the world hostage, just as Vladimir Putin has done when it comes to energy prices. Thank you, gentlemen.
Question, which I take pleasure of answering Hadi with a quick, not a big answer. Show me where is the act of belligerence, period. Secretary General.
Your Royal Highness, and back to your question, yes, I did say we have an open door. We have an open door. I'm waiting for someone to knock on that door. That's all I can say.
You're still not getting anyone knocking on that door, because a lot of folks would say that by this action, by these cuts, you are endangering global energy markets, you are endangering the global economy. What's the response there, sir?
If you permit, Your Royal Highness, we are not endangering the energy markets. We are providing security, stability to the energy markets.
At a price.
Everything has a price. Energy security has a price as well.
They playing a deadly game. If you all don't think that that's of any significance, you in for a rude awakening. Coming soon. Fast. Oh. Wham bam. Alakazam. Come on now. I'm having a technical difficulty over around this bitch.
Here, Carvana, we created a brand new way for.
Yeah, the games they playing right now with that would definitely be reflected by the prices at the pump.
Legally forcing Amazon is suing the State Department of Labor and Industries. The lawsuit claims L&I is illegally forcing the company to address alleged safety hazards at a warehouse, even though it is still appealing the case. Amazon wants an injunction. The company says it shouldn't be forced to adopt new safety measures before L&I has proven any wrongdoing.
Now, how about that? Amazon is suing L&I because L&I is trying to get them to get their shit together. You would think just out of as a gesture of good faith, they would just do whatever the fuck they're supposed to be doing. But apparently it don't work like that. Now this is one for the history books right here.
As a record bust, agents seizing more than 100 pounds of fentanyl. So how did the alleged drug mule who was transporting it escape from authorities? Here's Stephanie Gosk.
This is what 114 pounds of fentanyl looks like. Enough, the DEA says, to kill 25 million Americans. Seized back in June. DEA agents touted the bust and their fight against the deadliest drug on the streets.
Behind the scenes, there is aggressive and tenacious police work being done. We are not asleep at the wheel.
It was the single largest fentanyl seizure ever on an American highway, and it happened here on I-70 in Colorado, one of the main drug trafficking routes across the country. State police stopped a driver weaving in and out of traffic dangerously. The quick-thinking state trooper realized something wasn't right. This state arrest affidavit obtained by NBC News laying out the details of the entire bust. The driver, David Maldonado, seemed nervous, said he had to go to the bathroom really bad. At a nearby exit, the Colorado State Patrol discovered what was really behind those nerves. Bags and bags of fentanyl stashed under the car's floorboards. State law enforcement told us what happened next was a debacle. According to the affidavit, once he was in custody, a DEA agent struck a deal with Maldonado. He would continue on to South Bend, Indiana, where he said he was headed, and lead them to the drug dealers. Maldonado hit the highway. He then promptly ditched a tracking device and the DEA and vanished.
Clearly, there's been a failure of operational planning and execution.
The DEA did not respond to our request for comment, but in a July statement to a Denver newspaper, the agency confirmed Maldonado is a fugitive, saying the defendant was offered the opportunity to work with the DEA to further the investigation. Subsequently, after agreeing, he changed his mind and was able to elude law enforcement.
We've got a record amount of fentanyl involved here. In fact, enough fentanyl to kill everyone in the state of Colorado. The individual who was delivering that amount of fentanyl is now in the wind.
U.S. Marshals are now leading the manhunt. There's no way to know for sure if the drugs were headed here to South Bend, but we decided to come and see if the fentanyl problem was an issue. And like so many cities and towns in this country, fentanyl is killing people.
How bad is the problem right now?
How bad is it? It's everywhere.
Recently, 7 overdose deaths in a single week, all suspected to be from fentanyl.
All of a sudden in July of 2021, I began to notice almost all of my death certificates had some form of fentanyl listed on it.
Robin Vito works for the county's Department of Health.
If there was a big bust,
If someone was arrested who was dealing fentanyl in this city, would it help you guys?
Yes, hands down. We need to stop dangerous drugs from entering into our community.
The DEA says fentanyl is their top priority. Letting a suspect like David Maldonado slip away isn't going to help. Stephanie Gosk, NBC News, South Bend, Indiana.
So you riding around with 100 and some odd pounds of this shit, and you can't even maintain your lane? Who the fuck hired you? I mean, a lot of lives were saved because the shit didn't hit the streets, but who the fuck hired you? What a spectacle. And then these bozos at the DEA. Oh man. Yeah, buddy. They just say, yeah, you go ahead and drive ahead and we'll trail you. And then this motherfucker disappear.
It's quite a shit out there. They're not paying me enough for this.
Don't do this!
It's quiet out here. Nothing recorded. No activity here. What the hell? Need another sniper. Far out there. Watch it. Feel right. Just keep looking.
What a spectacle. What a spectacle. £100 of that shit. Gonna pop out or what?
Keep tight. Take your positions. All right, I'm moving in. On your guard! Eyes open!